Welcome to the Business Talk, a global podcast series that highlights distinguished faculty members and their impactful scholarly contributions. I'm Deepak, your host from India. We are honored to have Dr. Virginia Dignum joins us as our distinguished guest on today's episode. Before we begin, allow me to introduce our guest for today's episode. Dr. Virginia Dignum is a professor of responsible artificial intelligence at Umeå University in Sweden, where she leads the AI Policy Lab and explores how AI systems can be designed to align with societal values and public good. A member of the UN High-Level Advisory Body on AI and a senior advisor on AI policy to the Wallenberg Foundations, she plays a prominent role in shaping global conversations on AI governance. Elected to the Royal Swedish Academy of Engineering Sciences and named a Fellow of the European Association for Artificial Intelligence, she is widely recognized for her contributions to the ethics and policy of AI. Her work includes the book Responsible Artificial Intelligence Bridges Technical Research with Philosophy, Law, and Social Science to ensure AI technologies are transparent, trustworthy, and accountable. Today, we are joined by Dr. Virginia Dignum to discuss her book, The AI Paradox: How to Make Sense of a Complex Future, a user's guide to navigate the intricate, often contradictory relationship between artificial intelligence and human intelligence. Let's not keep you waiting. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Virginia Dignum to the podcast. Professor Virginia, we deeply appreciate your gracious acceptance of our invitation. It's an honor and privilege to host you today.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here, and I look forward to the conversation.
Thank you. Professor, in your book, you argue that the more capable AI becomes, the more it highlights what is uniquely human. How do you see this paradox playing out in everyday workplaces today?
So thank you very much for your question. The issue here is that we are developing artificial intelligence with only one type of the many facets of human intelligence in mind. We are looking at cognitive capabilities and in most cases at those capabilities that are aligned with the more rational or mathematical thinking. And the more we solve or address those ones with AI, the more we see that to address any day situations and issues, there is more to human intelligence and to human capabilities than just the capability of solving a problem. And we will need the emotional intelligence, the spatial intelligence, musical, all types of different intelligence that we have, different dimensions, and all of that will become more and more clear once we, let's say, solve a part of the problem, which is the part that can be done with AI.
Professor, you describe AI as a human-made artifact rather than an autonomous force. How does this perspective change the way we should talk about AI risk and AI inevitability in public debates?
Very, very important point, I think, and it's one of the issues that I stress a lot in the book. I talk a lot with policymakers around the world and with people which are also in organizations trying to make sense of how to implement AI within how to use it, how to develop, and so on. And a lot of these discussions seem to be grounded a bit in the feeling that AI happens. We don't really understand where it comes from, how it works, but it happens, it's here, it's around us. And the only thing we can do is a bit like the weather. We can try to protect ourselves from the consequences of the weather, but we cannot change the weather. But AI is not weather. AI is an artifact that we build. So we do have the choices when we are building these systems on how they should look like. And it's not inevitable that AI looks or appears in the ways that we tend to address it nowadays. There are other approaches. And therefore, it's very important, especially from the perspective of the policymakers, those in charge of taking the decisions, that they understand that our choices, our options, the decisions that we take are extremely leading in terms of the design or the artifacts that we are building.
Professor, one of the core tensions you explore is whether AI reduces bias or simply scales our existing blind spots? What would it take in practice to design AI systems that genuinely support more just and equitable outcomes?
That's a very important question, and it's a very difficult one to answer because more just, more equitable, more fair, it's always contextual. And what might be fair for you, I might consider that it's not so fair. Or in one situation, I think it's fair, but maybe later on, I think it was not fair. So those are very complex concepts for us to deal with, and a lot of the issues that we experience in our lives are exactly because there are so many facets to these issues. So it is not. I think the point is more that AI is not going to solve fairness for us. It will implement or it will incorporate some type of understanding of fairness, some type of understanding of diversity, of inclusion, and so on. But those things are not fixed in stone and also not necessarily applicable all over the world. And what the paradox that I explore in that chapter is the fact also that more fairness is not necessarily more justice. We can provide equal treatment to all students at school, for instance, but sometimes it might be that this equal treatment is not the most just approach because they are not equal and they come from different backgrounds, different situations, and treating them equally, which might seem to be fair, it will potentially increase the injustice that is made and the social justice that exists in society. So we need to be much more conscious of the fact that the fairness as we deal it in AI systems is only one of the components of the global social justice issues.
Professor emphasized that less bias in data does not automatically mean more justice. Can you
Yeah.
share an example where a technically accurate AI system still failed from an ethical or societal standpoint?
Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to, the example I just give. So um, fairness can be interpreted in different ways. In some cases, we think that it's fair if we provide equal treatment to everybody, but that equal treatment might lead to different consequences in different contexts. So if we give every child the possibility to, I don't know, we cover the costs of the books for school for all children in the country. That might make a difference for many of them, but for other ones, it might make no difference at all. And if the parents who could have bought the books for the children would have done that, and now are not doing it, they might provide other materials for the kid, a tablet or something like that, which then again will extend the differentiation on the children, on the situations of the children. So, and in another case, so it's not about equal treatment; it's about equal opportunities. But even there, providing the same opportunity to everybody, again, might ignore the fact that those children or those people or those situations don't start from the same starting point.
The book challenges the idea of AI as an all-purpose solution to complex problems. How can policymakers and organizations recognize when AI is wrong tool or only a small part of a much larger solution?
Yes, so the areas where we advocate to address before even we start thinking on how to implement AI in the organization, we need to start by the purpose. Why are we considering AI? And when we start discussing this purpose, it's important to take a broad and participatory approach and also to consider the situation. What are the alternatives? are there alternatives to the use of AI? What are the consequences of using those alternatives? Maybe not using AI, for instance. What do we gain with using AI? Who is going to benefit from the use of AI? Who is going maybe to lose or to not benefit as much from the use of AI? So instead of starting from the perspective which many organizations around the world are taking at the moment, which is this AI first. We need to use AI, and AI is, of course, everybody else is doing it, so we need to do it. Instead of going from that particular approach, we need to start before that with what we call the question zero, which is the purpose. Why are we really needing or do we believe that we need AI?
Professor, you argue that AI's trajectory is not predetermined but shaped by deliberate choices. Who most urgently needs to be at the decision-making table if we want AI to reflect genuinely democratic and inclusive values?
Yeah. So the most urgent at this moment, I think, is to have a global dialogue about what are these values, what are the benefits that AI can provide globally to across the different countries, different regions, both in the global north and the global majority. So for everybody, we need to have this global dialogue. We also need to enable access to the AI technology where it needs to be used and not just limited to those that have the opportunity and the financial capability to use it. And finally, we need to discuss how are we going to share the costs and the burdens of using AI, because AI is not it comes with both societal but increasingly also environmental costs, and we need to discuss how to share the burden for these costs, which proportionate the use of AI for all of us. So a global dialogue, global discussion, maybe is supported by the United Nations or by other international organizations, is extremely important at this moment.
Professor, one of your paradoxes deals with superintelligence, suggesting that true superintelligence lies in human cooperation. How should this insight influence the way we fund, regulate, and govern AI research globally?
Yeah. So indeed, the paradox or the discussion that I have in that chapter is about the idea that we are kind of is being sold to us or trying to be brought to us at the moment around the AGI and superintelligence, that if we build powerful enough tools, those tools will solve all our problems. And that is a very concerning approach, because of course the tool in itself will never be able to solve all our problems. And by putting the tool into the context in which we act and interact, also it will bring with itself other types of consequences, other types of issues that we have not addressed or understood or experienced before. So the idea that we'll build this God tool that is going to take care of our problems and solve it all for us, or kill it all of us if we go to the other extreme of these dystopic discussions, it is concerning, and it is taking away the focus on the necessity for collaboration, for interaction, for a shared contribution from all of us to address the complexity of the issues that we are serving in or feeling and experience at this moment. So instead of putting all the effort on this hypothetical tool that is going to solve everything, we need to be putting much more effort on the capabilities and the use of AI to support our collaboration across regions, across languages, across contexts, and so on.
Professor, the book invites readers to rethink what we mean by intelligence itself. How would you explain the difference between machine intelligence and human intelligence to someone who only encounters AI through chatbots and recommended systems?
Mhm. Okay, that's a very complex one. I'm not really sure if I'm able to answer you completely, but AI, the way that AI works, that the intelligence of an AI system is at this moment derived from the capability of these systems to identify patterns in complex sets of and very large sets of data. They will identify some patterns that we would never thought about. Some of them, they make sense. Some of them are very extraordinary and kind of makes us think, oh, wow, this is very, very different from what I would think. Some of them are completely wrong because the system only is able to identify the pattern. The system, the way we are building these systems, is not sufficient for the system to understand what this pattern means, what is the impact or the consequences of the pattern that is put there. But so in a sense, we are interacting with the huge, complex random machine that generates comments, generate images, generate without understanding more than the, let's say, the probabilistic and the statistic numbers, statistical variation of those patterns that it identifies. The more patterns it sees of the same type, the more likely that that pattern is something relevant. But the meaning of the pattern is out of question that the machine understands. And that is completely different from the way that our intelligence works. We are actually quite bad at identifying patterns. We are much better at identifying causality, cause and effect. And also we are quite good at abstract from a situation. We can abstract very, very quickly some main points in a way that AI systems cannot. So in a sense, these two intelligences are complementary, are not one replacing the other, but much more, and we should be much more looking at AI as a way to complement our capabilities than something that is going to replace our capabilities.
Professor, you highlight that critical governance choices are often embedded upstream in what is measured and optimized in AI systems. What kind of questions should designers and boards be asking at that early stage, but usually do not?
Yes, so there are indeed the optimization question is a very, very important one. It defines and determines what kind of systems that we get by the kind of options that we make in terms of optimizing or measuring the quality of the systems. For instance, one of the metrics, one of the things we optimize for standard in developments, also in science and in the new developments, is about the accuracy of the system. How correct is this system able to identify an image, generate a text? So accuracy is one of the metrics, one of the things for which we optimize. As we do that, we are not at the same time taking as much consideration for instance, the optimization of the use of computing capabilities. So in an extreme, and this is just an example, we could develop a new method, a new algorithm, which would be, for instance, 5% more accurate than what we had previously. But at the same time, we would need, for this 5% of accuracy, we would need maybe 40 or 50% more computational costs. And we are not measuring that. We are only measuring the accuracy. So therefore, we are creating potentially systems that are accurate, but at the same time come with extremely cost in terms of energy, in terms of environmental impact, which would maybe not be necessary if we had also looked at the optimization of the use of computational costs. And like that, there are a lot of trade-offs that we are not making because we are only focusing on one or two of the options to optimize for. And those are political choices, are not technical choices. We can optimize for whatever criteria that we want. We choose, for whatever reasons, to optimize for one or another of the options that we have.
Professor, I would like to conclude this episode with one last question. The
Mhm.
AI paradox ultimately calls for a collaborative, transparent, and inclusive approach to AI. If
Yeah.
you look ahead 10 years, what signs would convince you that we are moving toward that future, rather than one dominated by concentrated power and quiet public resignation?
Wow, I don't know if I have the crystal ball to answer you, but I would say that if we move towards a world in which access to AI capabilities and AI opportunities is available across the world, that we have also not only one tool in our toolbox, but the variety of AI tools designed for different approach, optimized for different situations, able to be used by different types of users in different situations, then we probably are in a much better situation than when we all are forced to use one type of tool and expect that that tool is going to be usable for all types of contexts. So more diverse tools, more diverse use, and affordability to use by many for all different types of situations.
Thank you, Professor Virginia Dignum, for sharing such insightful perspective on the paradoxes of AI and what they reveal about us as humans. Your reflections remind us that the future of AI is still very much in our hands, and that our choices, values, and collective responsibility will shape where we go from here. To our listeners, we hope this conversation encourages you to look at AI with both curiosity and critical reflection, and to stay engaged in shaping a future where technology truly serves the common good. Thank you once again, Professor Virginia, for sharing the insights from your book.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It was my pleasure to talk to you today about this.
Thank you.
Thank you.